So that moment, like after like 10 years of kind of just like having all these feelings towards my mother and kind of spacing and a lot of distance grew between me and my mother. Finally had this house, which is my childhood home that I was raised in. I kind of like had the blessing of taking it over. And when I did do that, that's when I decided to like try to welcome my mother back, and like kind of like be like, I have all these resources and I want to like grow with you again, and she came over here for doctor's appointments. And
so wait, before you get into that, how do you guys get reconnected?
We would always be kind of connected through like social media. We'd like talk on the phone like here and there, but like I will hold myself accountable when I say that I was very short and very resentful. And so I was like, hey mom, hi, how you doing? Like, yeah, I love you too, okay, bye. And then I just go do my own thing. Like I didn't try to tap too deep into like my emotional side with her because of that. But eventually, like growing older, you start to acknowledge that like they're human as well. I think we idolize our parents to like have like everything together, and it's like, no, they're human just like we are. The older you grow, the more you realize that. And that's when we started tapping back into each other and reconnecting more, is when I had this house and like she needed to come out here for doctor's appointments because her health was very bad. And in my hometown, it's the slums. Like Mexican health, like, yeah, you can get it for a cheap price, but at the same time, like, it sucks. Like, the services kind of suck,
So she was out there while you were guys kind of
Yeah.
on social media.
Yeah, she just decided to stay out there. After she ran away, she just said, no, I don't want to be out there. I want to stay here in my hometown. Because her hometown and my hometown are the same. So she wanted to stay in Tecate, and she had her own family there. And so she's like, no, I don't need to go anywhere else. I like it here, And so we respected that. We like lived these separate lives. My dad remarried, and like we have like little siblings now because of that, which I love them to death. I hope y'all watch this video. I love y'all. And yeah, dude. So when that happened, that's when we started to kind of like when I had this house, I was with my partner at the time. We were together for 4 years. It was a good while. It was a beautiful relationship. I fucked it up. But it was a beautiful relationship. And so that's when I was like, you know what? I'm here in my life right now. I have all these resources. It's like I'm growing, Like one of my goals as a kid was, of course, it's always to take care of your parents. It's to like, my biggest one was like, I want to take care of my mom. Like I want to be a doctor so I can take care of you, like all these things. So I still kind of had that personal goal, even through all of that, like the resentment and the spite. And so I finally was like, you know what, I can fulfill that goal in my own way. I have a place for her to stay now. I can like take her to her doctor's appointments. I can like provide her with like a pathway for her to like tap into her art career again, into her art side again. And so when she came to visit, it was kind of like a weird series of events where I had told my girlfriend at the time about my mother, so she kind of had this bad impression about her. And so me and my mom are both empaths, so when my mom came in, she felt my girlfriend's vibe of like not really welcoming her to the fullest because she wasn't comfortable with her. And so my mom felt that immediately. And so she kind of like, hey, she still said hi and all that. And my mom was supposed to stay for a week. Because of that like bad vibe, she just stayed for a day. And so I saw her, like we spent the night here watching movies, and it was nice. And then the next day, girlfriend went to work. My brother went back up to Palmdale, so it was just me and my mom. And I saw my mom packing, and I'm like, wait, why are you packing? Like, it's only, you're supposed to stay for a week. I'm gonna show you all these places, and I'm gonna like take you to your doctor's appointments. She's like, I really don't feel welcomed here, and it's I can tell that your girlfriend doesn't really she isn't fond of me. And so it's like, I'd rather like come back some other time, And I was like, oh, come on, like I haven't seen you in so long, like please, that's, just like bear it out, like it's gonna get better, don't worry about it. And she's like, no, I really don't feel comfortable. And I'm like, as soon as she said that, I'm like, okay, if you don't feel comfortable, I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. So I completely understand it. And that's when I just said, but at least let me make you breakfast. Like as a son, let me at least do that, because you used to do that for us when we were kids. So luckily, I'm the best fucking son ever. I still remember what she liked for breakfast, so I made her oatmeal with brown sugar and apples and cinnamon. So like I made her favorite oatmeal, and we literally were just like having breakfast here together, like just enjoying that. But during that, we managed to get closure on a lot of things that were like affecting me growing up. Like basically I asked her like, why did you do it? why did you leave us? I thought you loved us. And so she basically was just like, I just wasn't in the right place at the time. And I feel like she apologized to me and to like my brother in that conversation. But she also managed to just say how much she also regretted doing a lot of that now that she's older. And so a lot of those things like helped us get that closure that both her and I needed. And so when that did happen, that's when I like spoke to her and I'm like, you know what, like, I forgive you and I hope you forgive me for like always showing you so much like resentment. Like, I do love you and I do want you to, you know, I do want to hold each other in a very special place in our lives, you know. And so that's when I told my mom, like, I promise, like, come back. I promise you that like I'm gonna get you into galleries. I promise that like we're gonna like, it's just, we're gonna make this grow. It's gonna be beautiful again. You know, we're gonna fix this broken home in a sense, you know. And when I said that, she still had her mindset on leaving. And so I was like, oh, all right, you know what? Like I said, you don't feel comfortable, it's all good. So when that happened, that's when like, bro, life just completely took an entire 180. Where during that week, we usually send my mom money. So we hit her up that Thursday. When this happened, it was on a Monday. We hit her up that Thursday to be like, hey, we sent you money. Like, you know, like, did you get the numbers? We got no response. Waited a couple more days, no response. So we kind of felt like weird about it, like, what the hell's going on? My aunt is like a police general in my hometown. So we went to reach out to her and it's like, do you know what's going on? So we ended up getting investigators to kind of see what's going on. Apparently at that time, she actually was kidnapped by the cartel. And so what had happened was they found out because they went to my uncle's house where she was staying. Apparently what I've heard is that they decapitated my uncle and then they basically kidnapped my mother. And this is all from what I've heard from my father and my aunt speaking. And then when that happened, like everything just went in limbo. Like my life that I felt was like securing itself completely like just crumbled, you know? And I was feeling so many different things at that time. I felt a lot of resentment that I felt that I cleared out with my mother. I started feeling towards my partner and I started to really project onto that because I'm like, dude, what the hell? Like, why could you have not just been more welcoming? Like, you know, I did that for you. Why can't you do it for me type of deal? So I projected a lot and all that like spite as well. It's like, it just also led me just towards infidelity and towards a lot of self-destruction where like I just was just careless. I was like, no, like, you know, no one knows what I'm going through right now, you know? And so like when people would try to tell me things and they tried to like, just like be like, yo, dude, everything's gonna be all right. I'm like, you don't know that. Like, you've never been through this shit, you know? So it's something that like I should have just appreciated them trying to like care. And I also should have appreciated my partner for like really trying to make the effort at that time. Because like if I was as wise as I am now, I'm pretty sure all this would have been handled differently. Like I'm pretty sure like things would have probably like grown in a more healthy, beautiful way. But I also don't regret much of it because it helped me find out a lot about myself. And like shit hit the fan, I found out so much about myself. And I think those are the best moments. So eventually, I ended up splitting up with her. And so wishing her the best. I hope that like wherever she is, she's living a beautiful life and a very beautiful journey. And but with the whole mom situation, I ended up with this house alone. So I had to like completely like figure out how to just like handle the trauma of like my mother being kidnapped and also handle just like starting a new life alone and like maintaining my bills and all that. Because when that did happen as well, the blessing in disguise with all this happening was like, bro, I became such an adrenaline junkie because I'm like, well, dude, and it's such a dark thought, but it's like, dude, if I die now and if my mom's not alive anymore, like I can just be reunited with her, you know? It was like, that was one of my darkest thoughts, but it was one of like my most like fucking risk-taking thoughts where it's like, I just use that as like a center point. Like, man, I'm working this shitty airport job that paid me good money, paid me very good money. But I was just like, would my mom want me here? You know, like if she found out I was here and feeling this miserable, would she dig that? And I was like, nah. So one day I just didn't show up. I was just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna do my art thing full time. And so eventually I did like resign and I was like, you know what, like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do art full time. Why? Because my mom would be like, hell yeah, you're doing what you want to do, you know? And yeah, that's why the resignation letter right there, it's like, that's my resignation letter framed. It says no risk, no reward written on it, just to like really captivate that moment of like, okay, you took one of the biggest risks during one of your most traumatic moments of your life. Like, you know, it's always a reminder of that. But yeah, we kept looking for my mother and we just hired investigators and we kept trying to do what we got to do. and it's just no luck, you know. And then at some point, we did get a call, and it's like, yo, like, do you have her? And it's like, yeah, we have her, but it's like, when we're done, we'll give her back. And then after that, click, never heard from it again. This was 3 years ago. Holy hell, it's been 3 years. Holy hell. That was 3 years ago, and yeah, it's been a roller coaster, a very big roller coaster of like, because there's no, like, that closure that I had gotten with my mother is like back to being open again, because now there's no closure of whether knowing she's alive or not, whether knowing, like, you know, how it all happened or what's going on, you know. And so that's something that I just like had to live on with for these past couple of years. And it was, like I said, a roller coaster of like a lot of toxic behaviors with a lot of like healing as well, a lot of projecting of insecurities, and like just like traumas, dude. That shit is no joke, you know. And so a lot of it I tried to reflect it off like my artwork instead, because I would reflect it off partners. And so I apologize to all the ladies. I love you all. I apologize for my projections. This is like, dude, this is just me apologizing to everybody at this point. I apologize for the projections, you know. But when it did focus in art though, I don't apologize for the art that I created, because I feel like when it goes back, it ties back into the whole like broken home and feeling this pain to create beautiful art. I feel most of my beautiful work and most impactful work all arose from that traumatic moment, and all these traumatic moments that involved my broken home and my mother, you know, because it helped me dive into myself like so deep, and so like without any sense of regret or like fear. It just helped me dive so deep into it that when I started swimming back up, I came back up with like this like flourished fucking coral reef of like color and like life, you know, and understanding of it as well. And so yeah, dude, like I said, some of my best work has all come from these moments happening of my mother being kidnapped. And it's one of those things where a lot of it, like I showcased in El Paso, Texas at Dream Chasers Club and Gallery, which thank you guys, El Paso, love you guys, thank you Jam. Showcase there, that was my first solo show, Alter Egos 2, and basically the show was showing different sides of me and how I'm coping with all this that happened. And it shows how like music impacts it, how like Chicano art has started to like really like impact me as well after that happened, and how like spiritually I started to like be aware of who I am and how I am able to inspire others in that sense. Because when that gallery happened and people read my bio that explained my whole story, I had people walk up to me like crying, telling me like, thank you for doing that. Like, you have literally inspired me to like come out with my story, because my mother was also kidnapped, or my father or uncle was kidnapped. And it's something that I'm always scared to talk about because I feel like no one can relate, you know? So thank you for like opening up and like letting the world see you for who you are so vulnerably and transparently. That like that inspires me to do that. And as soon as that happened, that's when I knew like, holy hell, like all these things are happening for a reason. Like, I am not just an empath, but I'm also like a vessel for people to like feel this sense of inspiration and this like this strength to like find themselves and to like be open with the world. Because I feel like society sets up this stigma of like, if you show your emotions or if you show any of that, like you're weak. And it's like, no, it's actually the quite opposite. Like, if you show emotions and if you show that you're human, that's actually like the bravest thing you can do, you know? And so it's just that was a very beautiful moment that arose from all these things happening. And like I said, that's why I also ended up getting this that I showed earlier, the Unstoppable tattoo, because I needed something to like constantly remind me of like, yo, like whether my mom's there or not, like the only way to truly keep her around is to like showcase those things that she taught me and those emotions and energies and support that she gave me, and giving it to the world, you know? And so whenever I do promote this, it's something that she promoted with me, where like, if I ever felt like, fuck, I can't do this, she'd like, no, you go ahead and do it. Like, you got this, go ahead, do your thing. It's something that like just stayed with me, you know? And so that's why getting it tattooed and in typewriter as well. She used to go to thrift stores and yard sales, so she ended up buying a typewriter at some point, and she'd write us notes with it. So that's why it's written in typewriter font, to like kind of like truly embody everything that is her, so that whenever anybody sees this and you see me, you're not just seeing me and the tattoo, you're seeing my mom, you know? And so that's the same thing with art. You're not just seeing me anymore, you're seeing a projection and a reflection of like my mother and all the trials and tribulations that not only I had to face with that, but that she had to face, you know? And so all that happening is just, it's been a crazy, wild roller coaster that has had a lot of downs that were like heavy downs, but it's also had its ups that were like at the utmost heavenly level, where like, I don't think I've ever been this high on life, you know, if it wasn't because of that. You know, it's like a very beautiful balance of that. You know, like I started to like take as many risks as I could. I started to dive into as many things as I could without any like regret. And I love it. And I love it. That's how I ended up getting the job at Secret Walls. I ended up driving cross country with them. I ended up doing all these things, cliff jumping, skydiving. Like I started living life when I realized that it's too short not to live it on your own terms and your own standards, you know? And it took a lot of pain for me to realize that, so hopefully you guys don't have to deal with the pain. You can see it, like learn from me to like just do that. Just don't wait for that traumatic moment to happen. Just live your life to the fullest and create to the fullest and love to the fullest. So yeah, wow, that was a tangent.
Yeah.
That was a tangent.
No, it's a good tangent. What were the emotions when you found out that she was kidnapped?
When I found out she was kidnapped, it was a lot of like shock, of course. It was a lot of shock because it's just, these are things you don't expect to happen. You see it in movies, you know, especially now with like a lot of like this narco movement that's going out with like just shows and movies about Escobar and like the Mexican cartels and all that. You see it, but it's something that you don't acknowledge it being so real, because it's like, oh, it's a show, it's a movie, until you experience it. And that's when like everything you've seen, you're like, holy hell, like I'm going through this and it's so overwhelming. But in a human, like in a society, like humanity level, like people go through this shit every day. Like it just opened up my mind in ways that like I never thought I'd like imagine. And it managed to give me so much more empathy and compassion towards like humanity and people in it. And so, on a personal level, it shocked me, it saddened me. I was kind of just scared because I'm just like, fuck, like I finally got this closure with my mother and I'm ready to start this new life. And I feel like the universe or like the higher beings and powers around me were like testing me, and they're like, well, you finally got this. I hope you're enjoying a little bit of it, because I'm just taking it back. Like I feel like I finally got this room to breathe, and it immediately got swiped off of me. And so it was a very shitty feeling with that happening, and then like my life kind of crumbling in a sense. But in time, it ended up becoming the best feeling in the world, because when everything is destroyed around you, it leaves you with these remnants for you to rebuild your own, it goes back to building your own reality and your own sense of fulfillment and joy and happiness through all these things. And all these things come from pain, And so when you find that balance of like realizing that pain and like happiness are just like, if they're balanced pretty well, the value level skyrockets. It's a beautiful thing. It's a very beautiful thing. So like I'd say, not to purposely look for pain, but if you're confronted with it, to embrace it and embrace the lesson that comes in it. Because like if I were to have known that back then, like I said, I would have not been so self-destructive, and I would have not been so resentful towards people that didn't deserve it, and I would have not been so toxic to the people around me. I would have been a lot more, just peaceful about things, and I would have been like, yeah, it's a very sad thing, but be present, look at where you're at, because I went on autopilot when I was in self-destruction mode, like autopilot. Like a lot of things that I did, a lot of people that I hurt, I disregarded it. And I think it also sucked. And I appreciate the people that like bared me, because they would be like, oh, you're going through things because of your mom. Like, it's okay, we get it. So they kind of validated that. And I'm like, no, I wish somebody would have put me in my place at that time and called me the fuck out, because I needed that. If someone called me out at that time, I think, yeah, I would have saved a lot of other people. But like I said, it's something that I don't regret. Like, we all grow from our mistakes, and that goes back to the other concept that I said, like you either break from it or you make from it. So I made the utmost amount from it. Like I would have not taken the risk that I took. I would have not like pursued my art career as heavy as I did if it wasn't because of that. you know. So like that's just all part of like this bigger scheme and bigger story of life that hopefully, like I said, inspires other people around to like value theirs and like appreciate theirs to the fullest. Yeah.
When was the last time you heard some news?
As crazy as it's gonna sound, I actually heard news three to 4 weeks ago. My dad, he got a phone call from a number that's in Mexico, and so he missed the call because it was kind of late at night. So he called it back, and when he called back, it was some guy that picked up, and he's like, "Yo, who's this?" And it's like, "Well, you tell me, who's this? You're calling me?" And it's like, "No, you called me last night." And so my dad told me like that what he heard from this guy that was on the phone. The guy was like, "Yo, oh, I let some woman borrow my phone, you know." And my dad's like, "What?" And it's like, "Yeah, she's like a bit blonde, like colored eyes, light skin, a couple of tattoos here and there." And my dad was like, "Whoa." So my dad told me, and then fuck, my brother doesn't know about this, so it's okay. Now you know. Shit. But when my dad told me, he's just like, "Yeah, I think that might have been your mom either still alive trying to reach out to us, or it might just be a mere coincidence." But that's like the latest thing I've heard. Other than that, like it's been like radio silence. Yeah, a lot of radio silence. And so that's why like I live every day like on this weird teetering spectrum of like, am I gonna get news today about my mom, whether she's alive, whether she's not, or am I just gonna continue to not hear anything and try to like live with like the reality of like, okay, I might not ever get that closure, you know?
Yeah.
And so there's that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, dude. So you came at like a very crazy time too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though like last time that we spoke about this, like I do know that like my emotions were more on like the heavier, like sadder level, but like now you're catching me in like a moment of like healing like entirely and becoming more conscious of things entirely and like really embracing like not just the reality of things but the beauty that comes in that, you know. So you caught me at a very like spiritually high level, dude. Damn.
What was the reason why she was kidnapped?
It was just one of those things where it's just like guilty by association, where like I guess my uncle was doing some things with some bad people, and so because she was living with him, when they took him, they took her. So that was the unfortunate part of things, and that's why it's one of those things where like if she would have stayed that week, she'd still be here, you know. Like if she would have stayed for those 5 days that we anticipated her staying at my house, other than that one day that then she left, she would still be here. You know, so it's crazy how these events can like shift and mold everything that happens in your journey, you know? And so I think that's a thought that runs through my head every day. Like, damn, imagine if she stayed. Like, how different would life be? We probably wouldn't even be here right now. You know, this would have not happened. I would have not had that job at Secret Walls. I would have decided to stick at the safe route. You know, it would have been a whole different life. And that's why I always say, like, I'm not mad about the things that happen. I'm grateful for a lot of things that did happen, because it has opened me up to like so many beautiful people that I now like share my life with, you know? And so I wouldn't take that back at all. Like I don't, it's not that I don't take it back, it's more like I understand why things are happening and why things do happen. Yeah. Ooh.
So you haven't heard her voice for 3 years?
No. And that's the unfortunate part about it. And that's why like something that I've like dived into as well as photography and videography is documenting all my friends, all my family as much as I can, even though it gets annoying, I know, but I love y'all. I try documenting as much as I can, because one of the unfortunate parts is I only probably have like 25 photos of us, of me and my mom and like my family, like when I was a kid, because my mother actually took a lot of like the VHSs, the photos and everything with her when she moved to Mexico. And when they basically like kidnapped her from her house, they basically tore everything up at the house. So now I literally don't have childhood videos. I don't have videos of her speaking or any of that. And it's one of those things where like I do think about that, like damn, like I can remember her voice briefly, but it's like what I wouldn't do to like hear her laugh again, or like to hear her make a very like lame mom joke. or for her to like tag me on this like cheesy Facebook I love you post, like what I would not do for that again, you know. It's one of those things where when she would do that prior to me like having that closure, I'd be like, Mom, can you not, like, please don't do that. But now it's like, no, like I wish I can do that, you know. The only time I do get that kind of sense of like fulfillment of like, oh my God, this is sweet, is shout out to Facebook for having those like, oh, a year ago, 5 years ago, and it like shows you the post that they sent to you, you know, and that they tagged you on. And so it's like, that's like my closest thing to like having that notification in my life, you know, or like being able to like get anything sent from my mother in my life, you know. So I hold those things close. But that's also the reason why I wasn't on Facebook for a very long time, because I was like, no, if I get reminded of this, like it's just gonna do more harm than it is gonna do like benefit, you know, because I wasn't ready to like embrace that yet, you know. So yeah, but what I wouldn't do to like hear that voice again, like any recording, like anything, like a voicemail, I don't care, you know, like I just want to hear that again, you know.
What if you did hear it?
Oh my God, you're about to capture a grown-ass man crying on camera. Oh my God. And it's something that like maybe I need to just do more research and hit up people from my hometown and be like, hey, do you have any videos of her? You know, something that like I strayed away from, because I feel like I actually can't go back to my hometown. Like, and it's something that sucks. But I feel like if I do, my dad's actually scared of me trying to go back to visit, because one of my goals is to paint a mural in my own hometown to show them like, yo, one of the people that came here from like the same slums that you're from painted a mural for like Carlos Vela, one of the most famous Mexican players right now, and he's making it. If he can make it, you can all make it. So the goal is to inspire like the younger crowds that are there, so that they don't like start to lead a route that leads them towards like all of this like madness that is, you know, the cartels and like the drugs and the gangs and all that. So that's one of my goals, but the unfortunate part is I can't still go, because if I do, my dad has this fear that they're gonna think that I'm back there to get revenge or something, or that like I'm gonna like end up getting kidnapped just like she did, because social media makes it so easy for people to find you. She had me as her son labeled on Facebook, so I'm pretty sure they already know who's who and where I'm even at, you know. They're capable of that. And so yeah, man, so I miss my hometown a lot. And so I hope that I get to go back there soon to like, you know, give my people, you know, a bit more value in life and like inspiration and stuff, and so that I can also just like say hi to my family out there and visit where I'm from and stuff. That was another tangent. What was the question there?
What would you how would you feel if you heard her voice again?
Just overwhelmed, very overwhelmed, but very like happy about it, because like I said, or something that I haven't said it yet, but it's something that I feel like artists and creatives have such an amazing ability that sometimes we kind of don't acknowledge, is we have the power to immortalize things. By saying that, is like I can paint a picture of her. It's just like Day of the Dead. Like when you keep speaking of those that passed, that's how you keep them alive. You know, you keep talking of fond memories of moments of things that they used to do, even if it's like, yo, they used to laugh about this all the time. Like you're sharing that moment with people, or even with yourself, and you're remembering them. You're keeping their spirit alive and their soul alive, you know. So that's how I feel about art and creatives. Like when you create something, whether you're documenting this right now, right? I pass away like the next day, right? This video will live on for as long as you let it live on. Just like art pieces, like Mona Lisa, we don't know who she is, but she's living on, you know? Like Vincent van Gogh, we haven't met him, but he is living on, you know? He painted portraits of himself, he immortalized himself. So that's how I feel that I do that for like my mother and for friends. Like I immortalize them by like either painting things that like are like pieces of them, like whether it be a flower that they loved or like an animal that they loved, like painting that around like a lot of pieces that I do is my form and method of immortalizing them and keeping them with me and keeping them alive in this world, you know. And that's why even most recently I had the blessing of showcasing for Churla at the Mexican consulate, you know, where 17 years ago me and my mother were becoming residents in the country. I was given the blessing and the opportunity to showcase there, thanks to Anita La Bonita. Thank you, Anna. Appreciate you. A lot of thank yous. Very grateful. I'm very grateful. I was able to showcase there, and that was a big blessing. But the moment that like was the biggest blessing, and like a moment that like I teared up in this gallery, was I had asked them, hey, can I like showcase my mother's piece in here, you know, and can she be part of this gallery, where it was as if she was alive, because it had her name, like, you know, like Maria de Jesus Mendoza Ramos, like it had her name on there and the name of her piece and everything on there framed, like it's in a gallery, you know. It's as if she's still alive here, you know, and we don't know if she's alive or not, but it's as if she is, like as if she's an artist that like just got featured in this most recent gallery. And I think that moment helped me really like feel that sense of like what we're capable of doing as artists, to like immortalize the people and the things around us, you know. Because that was a very emotional moment. Like I was with my aunt when we looked at it, and I told her the story where like when we had that last conversation, me and my mother, when I told her, I promise you I'm gonna get you into galleries and shows, I never would have imagined that it'd get her into one of like the galleries that meant the most, which was one of the main components to our status here in the country of becoming residents after coming from like the slums and like making it here, you know. So yeah, so that's that was my method of keeping her alive and also keeping my promise, while just like hopefully inspiring other people to like just embrace that ability to do that with anything in any way that they choose, whether it be music, building a house, you know, building all these things or creating things. The main word is just creating something. If you create something, if you create it with the right intentions, you know, you're unstoppable, dude, you know. Tangents on tangents.
All day. If you had something to say to your mom right now, what would it be?
First off, it'd be I'm sorry. I'd apologize, and I'd hold myself totally accountable for like not appreciating her as much as I should have, and not embracing compassion, and not embracing the theory of like people outgrowing pieces of themselves and not being the same person that they were before, having the ability to grow into, you know, a better person. I'd say I apologize to her for not doing that sooner, but I'd also say that I'm just very proud of her for like all that she's overcome, because she's, in my eyes, she's a warrior. Like a lot of victimization does kick in our society, but like she fought that to the fullest, you know. Like she, even if she was in shitty situations, something that I admired about my mom a lot is like she always had a sense of humor. And so I'd say like thank you for like giving us everything that you did, and thank you for like showing us, you know, love when you did show us love. And even though you were away, you still showed us your own method of love, you know, for the circumstances that were there. But I just say that like, you know, of course I love you, and I'm so proud of you for overcoming all this, and that like if I could be more proud to be anybody's son, I'm glad that I'm yours, you know. Ooh, that one gave chills. Okay. Ooh. Yeah, that's basically what it'd be. That I'm proud, and I hope that I'm able to continue to make you proud. And, you know, I hope that I'm continue to like make you happy, like wherever you are, whether you're here with us or whether you're like looking over us. Like, I hope that everything I do, you know, moving forward in this life is something that like, if I were to call you like I used to, I could easily like tell you about it, and that you'd be the most ecstatic, you know, mom ever, and the proudest mom ever because of it. So I'm just gonna continue to make you, you know, I'm just gonna continue making you proud, and I'm gonna continue showing you that I love you, and that you raised the good one, you know, that I am an extension of you. So you have brought a very beautiful extension out here into the world, and it's gonna continue growing, you know, as long as I'm breathing. So yeah, thank you for asking that. I never thought about what I would say to her if I could, so thank you for asking that.
Of course.
You got me in my feels, you bitch.
That's what it's all about, man.
You're right.
Yeah, I think that's it for me, man. Is there anything you want to say? Any shout outs real quick?
Shout outs just to everybody that has believed in me, you know? Like, damn, here goes another fucking tangent, bro. Whoa. Yeah. So shout out to everyone who's believed in me, even through like the hardest of times. Like, I appreciate you. I shout out to everyone who's been there with me through my shittiest moments, I am now holding myself entirely accountable, keyword accountable, for like having ever projected anything horrible. Like, I apologize for that. Like, I hope that you all see me as like someone who's just like you, that's human, that's growing, that wants to just be better at everything that they can be, and like inspire those around them while doing so. Shout outs to, like, once again, the people that did believe in me, because it's not about proving people wrong, it's about proving those that believe in you right. And just shout out to everyone who's ever shown love. Shout out to everyone who's like aspiring to inspire everybody around them, because that's the main slogan that we like run through here and with Artifesto, is like we just aspire to inspire people, because that's like one of the most beautiful things that you can do. So like if we can keep passing that on and we can keep celebrating life in that manner, it's a beautiful thing. So shout out to everyone like that's just going through it, you know, and that chooses to like fight all odds and overcome all of that and become the warrior and the hero in their own story. Because even though you feel like you're not being acknowledged for it, or even you don't give yourself credit for it, like people like me see you for you, and we see you growing. So shout out to all of you. Like, you guys are all special and beautiful, and you all have your own story in your own way. Even if it's not being captured, doesn't mean that it's not being appreciated and acknowledged. It's just a means of just like, you know, just you knowing that yourself is enough to like grow and continue to do that for other people. And yeah, and I love all of you guys, seriously. Like, it's a very tough time right now, and so the best thing you can do and the best like stamp that you can leave, or little piece that you can leave in this world, is to inspire the people around you and express the utmost amount of love, especially in like such an era of like so much hatred going on. Like, express as much love as you can, as much understanding and as much like patience and compassion towards people, because we're all human, dude. Like, we all make mistakes. It's just a means of like growing with each other and making sure that we all heal one another and teach others to heal each other as well. And yeah, dude, I have too many shout outs. I'm very grateful for everything. I'm very, very grateful for a lot of things. So shout outs to all that, and shout outs to you too for like, one, believing in me enough and believing in all of this enough to go, no, I want to capture this. Like that's something that's big. Like, so shout out to everyone here. Yeah.
This is a last thing for sure, but can you talk a little bit about that conversation of you trying to get your mom into an art gallery?
So my mom, because of her health condition, she like had one lung that only worked. She had overcome some type of cancer. She's a fucking trooper, bro. And she'd even still not take shit from anybody. Like, she'd get into fights and get her ass beat by like 3 people, airlifted into a hospital in San Diego. And as soon as I walk into like the room, she's all bruised up, but she's already laughing. She's just like, yo, you should see the other ones. And I'm like, why? Are they beat up? No, I just said you should just see them. I didn't say they were beat up. Like, it's just, I love it. But okay, I'm going on a tangent. What was it again?
It was talk about that conversation that you guys had about you just trying to get her back into making her work into the gallery.
So because of like her condition and her just trying to like basically kind of, lack of a better word, stay alive and survive in the healthiest way, she kind of like stepped away from like drawing as much, because I guess she was just uninspired, or just didn't fulfill her in that sense. So I'd see a couple of drawings here and there, and I'm like, Mom, like, you still got it, like, go for it, you know, like, keep pursuing that, you know. And she's like, I don't know. And I think that's when like the beautiful moment of like you teaching your children, or teaching someone so much on how to like carry themselves, finally reflected and worked out, was when I was the one that was telling my mom, like, no, you're the one that can do it. Like, you're unstoppable, Mom. Like, go for it, create, start like drawing. And that's when I told her, like, I've been dabbling in this art world for a good while now. Like, I have more resources now to offer you. You know, it's not just health resources or financial resources. I have like passion resources that will help you, you know, fulfill yourself as an artist, you know. So I had told her, like, when you go back home, I want you to just start to like do a drawing a week, or do 2 drawings a week, you know, to just kind of get the flow going. And then after a while, like, just keep sending me stuff. What I can do is I can digitalize it, and we can start working back and forth through Facebook, you know, let's start sending each other these things so that we can get you going. Because I told her, like, you have such an amazing story, and it's such a crazy story, that's matched with such a beautiful talent, like there's no reason why you shouldn't be appreciated for it, you know? You deserve to be appreciated for your craft and your talent, you know? Because if I'm doing it and I'm an extension of you, there's no reason why you can't do it, you know? And so she was super excited about it. She's like, yeah, like, all right, I'm down for that. Like, all right. So I give her like these sketch pads and I give her all these things that I had here in my studio. I'm like, here, take it. Like, knock yourself out, mom. Like, you want paint too? I got you. Do whatever you gotta do. I got you. And so, so yeah, no, that's how that conversation went. And that's when I had told her, like, keep doing it. And I promise you, I'm gonna get you into a gallery one day. I'm gonna make sure that you're appreciated and that you're showcased in the utmost proper way, you know? That like the people see your talent and they acknowledge it and they appreciate it and they like love it as much as I do and as much as other people growing up did, you know? And so that's how that conversation kind of went down. Like it was me just telling her or reflecting on her, all the love and the support that she gave me, and like literally like promising her that I was gonna like do what I had to do to make sure that she was appreciated for her craft, yeah, and her passion.
And then you made it happen.
Yeah, 17 years later. It was actually like 15 years later, because when I did the El Paso gallery, that's the first time I showcased her in the gallery. It had my bio, it had that alter egos right there, and then next to it, it had her drawing, you know? So after you read the story of like the kidnapping and just like the upbringing, you see her original drawing from 2003, like just on that wall. And so I remember when I was in that gallery before opening, it was like an hour before opening, I was looking at everything and then I like read the bio and I saw her drawing, and dude, never have I ever unwillingly cried and bawled my eyes out until that moment. I was just like looking at it and like it just like streamed down my face. And then the curator was like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, sorry. Just it's very important. This is a very important moment, you know? And so I had shared that with all of El Paso that went to that night. And that's why I even ended up like in the El Paso Times, which is awesome. Like, Michael, thank you for covering that. Appreciate you to the fullest. Thank you for taking your time out and your energy to like listen to the story and listen to like the true meaning of what that was for. But that was the first time that happened. But most recently, like I said, the Chur LA, it was Immigrant Heritage Month. And so to come back in there and showcase 17 months later, where we became residents, and to still keep that promise, but like bump up the promise to like a level that's like, yo, you're in this building that's like an official Mexican consulate building, you know, in Los Angeles, you know, where it plays such a major role and a major staple in like our immigrational like history, and just like for any immigrant as well, like just culturally, like this is part of their journey, you know, having to go through all that. So to showcase there was like, that was the moment where I'm like, if I didn't keep my promise back then, this is when I kept it. I kept it in the most proper and like honorable way. So yeah, so that was a beautiful moment too.